Comedy is certainly a hard thing to evaluate, especially when times change. What was funny 10 years ago might not be funny today, or might not even be appropriate. Rarely do comedies, especially on television, last, evolve, and manage to stay with generations. Today's Lost and Found, Whose Line, was a large part of my upbringing and remains active on television even today.
One night I was getting freaky
with my girl Elaine. Boy, we had some fun.
Stick around, learn a thing or two, and let's see how many hoedowns we can piss off Ryan Stiles with.
Don't say another hoedown. Don't you even say another hoedown.
Whose Line Is It Anyway is an American improvisational comedy television show that has spanned multiple networks, dozens of seasons, and various comedic performers. Each show starts out with 4 comedians in chairs who act out games issued by the host. Throughout the incarnation of the series, 3 hosts have dished out the games, including British comedy writer Clive Anderson, comedian Drew Carey, and now actress, comedian, and director Aisha Tyler. Each episode is roughly 22 minutes, with up to 4 performers who act out and create scenes and characters from thin air. Each game is based on a prompt, and after each game, an arbitrary amount of points is given out to each performer. The prize at the end of the show is usually sitting out and forcing the host to act in the game, but sometimes the improv actor was actually given the win without any sort of prize. Many do not know that Whose Line actually started out as a radio show in 1988 on the BBC Radio 4 in United Kingdom. The show, created by Dan Patterson and Mark Levinson, won a total of 6 episodes before it was developed for television. The British show, which would be hosted by Clive Anderson, spanned a total of 10 seasons, 136 episodes. American improv actors Ryan Stiles and Colin Mochrie would appear in the show, later becoming regulars in the final 2 seasons. The American version would be released in 1998 on ABC and would be hosted by well-known stand-up comedian and actor Drew Carey.
I'm going to give 500 points for that to Ryan Stiles, who can be seen every Wednesday at 9, 8 Central on the Drew Carey Show, right here on ABC.
Carey was on a high during this time with his show, The Drew Carey Show, receiving excellent views for the network and launched Carey into a well-known spot in Hollywood. The first iteration of the American version of Whose Line ran a total of 219 episodes, with Colin Mochrie and Ryan Stiles appearing in every single episode. After season 1, Wayne Brady would become a season regular. Brady had worked in sketch comedy and even appeared in the British Whose Line with other cast members. The show's well-known improvisational comedy brought on famous names like Whoopi Goldberg, David Hasselhoff, Bill Nye, Penn and Teller, and most famously, Robin Williams.
Oh, please, fine. Work hard. Work hard.
All right. You know what?
Last night you didn't say that.
Unfortunately, despite the relatively early success of the show, it hit a wall going into 2003 with low numbers for the network. Despite having already produced episodes for the season, ABC canceled the show. Drew Carey would do his best to save the concept with multiple iterations of Whose Line, including the green screen show that lasted 1 season, Improvaganza that appeared on the Game Show Network, and 2012 with Trust Us With Your Life, a show that sadly only lasted 6 episodes on ABC due to the host, Fred Willard's lewd conduct charge. In 2013, Ryan Stiles would announce that Whose Line would be finally returning after several attempts to recapture the image and brand for the franchise. The show would now be hosted by veteran comedian and actress Aisha Tyler and would feature the original cast of the US version.
Wait a minute. Hey, you said we were going on the pant.
The show would receive some mild updates, including a more mature tone and comedy, as well as a 5th player, a guest with no improv skills that would participate in some of the games. The show has continued to have great success, as it was recently renewed for its 18th season, which debuted in late 2021.
Movies of all time, Wizard of Oz.
Oh, spooky.
Yeah, especially if you turn off the lights and poke people with knives when they're watching it.
Whose Line has received some criticism in the improv community for its, in quotations, short-form approach to improvisational skills. Colin Mochrie, a veteran improv comedian and actor, stated that Whose Line was never meant to be an end-all be-all for improv, but rather a way to efficiently and effectively introduce it to the masses. In that, Whose Line has succeeded. Whose Line was a huge part of my childhood, as it always felt like ABC was airing reruns. The show was successful at branching comedy to younger audiences, while also melting mature themes and comedy with older ones.
Why are we wasting time? Just do me.
Oh. You're cheap.
That's true.
Yet, the show never felt abrasive or offensive to any sort of people. The short nature of the games meant that each episode's runtime of 22 minutes felt like a breath, over and done. A Whose Line binge was a usual thing for me, and this developed into my teenage years as my friends and I would sit over the TV laughing as we stuffed our faces with Debbie snack cakes. Colin Mochrie and Ryan Stiles were always my favorite performers, as their chemistry had clearly blossomed over the years. They would feed off each other, pushing the joke further and further each time, but somehow not able to break each other.
And what sound does an Arctic tern make?
Backstreet Boys?
This delicious cake of comedy was always topped off by Wayne Brady, whose sensational talent would allow him to dance, sing, and make audiences laugh with as much ease as any other comedian that appeared.
Hey, listen, you did your singing and dancing just now.
Okay, Miss Carey.
Okay.
The usual go-to favorite was musical hits, where Mochrie and Stiles would pitch a shitty album, forcing Wayne Brady and a usual partner to make up a hit out of thin air. The brilliance in the two acting off each other felt scripted, but it wasn't, and Brady singing his heart out to something he was making up was truly awe-inspiring.
Just like that, my boss went, damn, I got so flat. Oh, that's right. Makes me want to retire.
The latest iteration to Whose Line did garner a lot of interest from me in the beginning. While I always enjoyed the initial run of Whose Line, it desperately needed an update. The update had that, with new talent appearing like Jonathan Mangum and even Keegan-Michael Key. The only real issue I had with the update was the need to push CW show talent into the fold in these games. Various actors from those shows would appear in games, and sometimes they didn't look like they really wanted to be there. That being said, the guys as usual would do their best to push their talent and the envelope. The updated show would also feature a bit more mature comedy, which felt more in line with the British version before it was cleansed for the ABC channel.
We're cutting the dog in half.
Carey unfortunately would move on to host The Price is Right, which is understandable given his failure with recreating Whose Line. Aisha Tyler, who's obviously much more different of a presence from Carey, does a great job of keeping the guys on their toes. It's a bit of an unexpected change of tone, but one the show desperately needed. After rewatching most of the return show, I actually prefer the modernization, the slight adult edition humor, and honestly, Aisha Tyler over Carey. Whose Line Is It Anyways has truly one of the most interesting comedy histories ever, starting from a British radio show before spanning dozens of television seasons. The show has featured some of the most prominent comedic talent of all time, and has done an excellent job of spawning much interest into improv entertainment. The show's delicate balance of comedy, tone, and themes mean that it doesn't ever overstep its boundaries. The show can truly be enjoyed by anyone, and the remarkable job of creating ideas, characters, and environments out of thin air is so easy by the performers that you completely forget it's all made up. Whose Line was a big part of my childhood, and I would even have sessions with friends where we would act up games ourselves. It was obviously never to the success or enjoyment of watching an episode, but the show did a lot for us in terms of pure entertainment. You can catch the original Whose Line as well as the updated iteration on HBO Max now. Trust me, you will truly enjoy your time.